My name is Louise Tremblay. I'm the Executive Director here at Seniors Come Share Society.
My name is Richard Dilworth and I am the Director of Caregiver and Family Services with Seniors Come Share Society.
We have been in existence since 1977, offering services to older adults and their family in White Rock and Surrey. We operate out of 3 locations, one in South Surrey, Newton, and Guildford. We have 3 service areas: day program for older adults, Caregiver and Family Services, and Community Services. This particular project that SurreyCares is funding is called Caring for the Caregiver, because during this pandemic, the caregiver has been working 24/7 with their loved ones at home with no respite, whereas before, caregiver would receive a few hours of respite a week when their loved ones attended the day programs. And of course now that's not possible to do. Our aim at Seniors Come Share is to enable people, older adults, to live in dignity and to be respected and valued in the community. That's really important to us, and I think it's important to the community as well. If you have a healthy community, everybody prospers and does so much better. For anyone, to be isolated has been very difficult during COVID, and we're trying to keep people connected as much as possible through our virtual programming that we were able to do during COVID-19.
The program itself went through some major changes. Before COVID, we would meet in this room. That's something that doesn't happen now. This room was used for support groups, a lot of one-on-one family meetings. None of those things took place as of the end of March last year. The organization as a whole made a huge, immediate right turn or whatever to accommodate the needs as they changed. The program itself, those are the kinds of changes that we had to address. We couldn't meet with people face to face anymore. The Emergency Community Support Fund was integral in allowing us to reach caregivers who were already, prior to the pandemic, maxed out. These are people who 24/7 caregive. Oftentimes they are spouses who are supporting individuals who are equally as old or advanced aged. And the supports that were then cut off, meaning the individuals who could no longer come to, say, a day program that was held within this structure upstairs, it didn't happen anymore. So a 6-hour window of time, multiple times perhaps a week, they were no longer able to come to that. The primary focus of the Caring for the Caregiver program, that some of that funding was essential to provide services for the community, was respite services. So that is a third party. We've had to utilize a third party to just simply meet the need, sort of meet the demand, I should say. We have roughly, since funding went into place, we have between 20 and 30 clients a week receiving respite services. Those are windows of 3 to 5 hours, not quite replacing what they would have had when their loved one was, say, attending a day program, but something that will allow them to perhaps even simply get some sleep, get out of the house, focus on themselves. That's the kind of essential things that weren't happening to individuals because they were, one, housebound, afraid to leave. And so one of the essential things we were able to provide was trained respite staff going in. When we received the funding, the initial change was to be able to assess people's needs and then offer services, an intake process. We started with every client who was earmarked as high need. The part of the intake process was an assessment tool, a series of 5 questions identifying isolation and loneliness, their ability to cope. Anyone who was already sort of on our radar was automatically almost green-lighted for the program. So they were set up with services that began immediately as soon as the funding was put in place. And we have, as I said, since that time had a range between 20 and 30 clients a week, receiving up to, we've even had some individuals who were really in desperate situation awaiting placement in long-term care, because even those things have been put off. Placements in long-term care became delayed, placements in assisted living became delayed, and the respite services became integral to them being able to cope. So those have fluctuated between 20 and 30 clients receiving anywhere between 3 and, in some cases, 8 hours a day. We were averaging 50 to 70 callers a week. Calling, and that would be anything from somebody calling out of town, out of province. Those increased considerably because, again, no one was able to travel. So we literally had tripled our number of calls, and that's been consistent since middle of March last year. Anything from an individual who, again, is worried about a loved one locally that we might be able to help with, to those just not coping well, looking for resources, desperately looking for, once the word got out that we were able to offer respite services, and that's still tracking at about 3 times as much as it was pre-pandemic. The one thing that we've learned through the pandemic is that as much as we've tried to take supports virtually and provide services online, the one thing that we can't provide a caregiver is respite in any other way than to take on the job for them. They need a break, and there's only one way to do that, and that's to provide services in-house for them. We can't thank organizations like SurreyCares enough for the Emergency Community Support Fund, because it was integral in terms of being able to get a pilot project off the ground. We're hoping for the support of others going forward, but we can't thank the organization enough for them making this possible.